Hello and welcome. I'm so happy that you're joining. My name is Vincent Baker. I'm a tabletop game designer, and today we're discussing a Death Note inspired tabletop RPG. So for those unaware, a few years ago I made a Death Note inspired, well, more like a Death Note fan made tabletop RPG that you use playing through texting on your phone. It's gotten a lot of people interested, and so I wanted to take this opportunity to make a fully fledged game out of it. But of course, to do a fully fledged game, I have to use my own IP, use my own ideas, and my own story. But it doesn't mean that it can't be very much inspired by Death Note. So I wanted to share that with you today because I already recently shared with you about My Hero Academia and how making an inspired tabletop RPG out of that called Zero to Hero. Be sure to check out that video if that seems like it interests you. But today, it's not about that. It's about the Death Note inspired tabletop RPG. So right off the bat, you may see that this says White Abyss. That was the original name, but it has been changed, and I'm looking at getting a logo done, but it will be Deathsend. So that's what we're looking at. It's meant to be sort of like a play on Godsend, like, oh, like you're a Godsend, like this is amazing, like you saved my life. But what happens if that person's not a Godsend, they're a Deathsend? So I thought it was a really cool name. That's what I'm going with here. Now with that, let's see if we can pull this up. So don't fear the supernatural. It talks about the demons and angels waging war on humanity, not in overt ways, but subtly. There's a lot of strange things happening, and essentially the Reaper shows up, gives someone the power of death where they can kill people, and it's up to people to solve the mystery and figure out what's going on. In this, there are 3 different factions. You have the Baker Street Irregulars, which are essentially your Sherlock Holmes disciples. You have the Amakusa Monastery, which is... let's see, yeah, so they're basically like a religious group in Japan that is based off of Shiro Amakusa, who's a real-life person who's sort of a martyr who passed away and was killed horribly, but had like these like religious ties and beliefs. Definitely an interesting person to read about. And then we have the Yakuza, because the Yakuza are pretty cool, so throw those guys in there. So as you can tell, the factions are different from what you could expect in Death Note, but they're fun nonetheless. And so we're shaking things up, but it's still a fun time. This game can also play a lot of people, so we haven't tested it with more than 10 people, but you can definitely play 10 people with it, and you can definitely play more. For goals, it depends on who you are. Death, you win if Sherlock is killed. Your investigation's 12. Sherlock, you win if Death is arrested. There's X-Death, and then there's the Yakuza there, of course. We have the player stats. So in this game, there are 3 main player stats. You have combat, investigation, and stealth. Combat is any type of confrontation. It goes off your combat stat. Investigation, learning new information, solving mysteries, and stealth is how well you can keep things hidden. Each character will have different bonuses for each, and will have different strengths, whereas others will be more balanced. So as you can tell, right here, it still says White Abyss. So we're still changing up things, we're still editing, stuff like that. But essentially, the way this game's played is you still have someone running the game. They're called the Reaper. They're the only ones that can see everything. They are going to be your game master. They arbitrate the rules. They make sure things go fine. And a lot of this is based off of my game Legendaria, which was made in 2018 and then published in 2019. As far as I'm aware, it's the first tabletop RPG that was ever designed meant for texting on your phone as like the key feature for it. And what's cool about this is you can play it no matter where you're at. You can have people at work, you can have people at school, you can have people in between moving. We've had people literally play as they're moving between states. So it's very freeing to your schedule and very amendable. I can't think of the word right now. It's very like modular based off of what you need schedule-wise and timing-wise. So this talks about all that stuff. Of course, be prepared, which I'm sure may have been like a Lion King reference as I wrote that out. This tells you how you'd split up the teams based on the number of players. We have the alias, making a check, locations. So there's different areas you can go into. These are the different actions that players can take. You have arresting, confrontation, or arrest, confront, find, investigate, parlay, and trap. So there's a lot of different things you can do there. Of course, death can kill people, so that's kind of important to know. We also have calamities, which are these white cards, which will come on like a terror-shaped card. This will be a terror-shaped book that people can have physically. And as the game progresses each week, which is not a real-life week, it's a week in-game, which is every day. or every round rather. So you could do rounds for every like 2 rounds a day. So the weeks progress, and so do the calamities, which will change what's happening here. So like the mob can show up and start attacking people. By default, there's different skills that characters have. There's true names that you have trying to find, and these are some of the skills you have: an actor, calculated, dirty money, disguised, death symphony, duty, eyes of death, forger, gifted, my guardian death angel, hacker, impulsive, loyalty, marksman, pep, protector, risk taker, skeptical, tactician, honest, and there you go. So you may notice that on the top left hand corner you see light, you see dark, you see neutral. That is the typing of the skills, which do play a factor. The more dark skills you have, the more likelihood that death will choose you as a target, which I don't know, it's just fun to kind of see. But what's fun too is you can have death skills, or dark skills rather, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And there's like rules for like how that plays out and stuff. It's very simple, but it doesn't mean that you're bad if you have a dark skill, or you're good if you have a light skill. It just sort of like is a moniker that we can use for different rule sets in the game. And basically any character you can think of, hopefully these skills cover the base of what you would want. I was thinking of Death Note, you know, and their characters, and these skills should be able to cover like any of those characters if you wanted to do like a fan-made version of those. But we have our own characters here. You can make your own, but we have some pre-made characters in case you wanted to use those. We have Hisashi, who has duty and tactician. He has a high investigation stat, so that's where he really shines. We have Xavier, who has pretty high investigation and combat. So, you know, it's interesting there. He has actor and honest. We have Ichika, who has 0 combat, so she's not going to help you in a confrontation very much, but she's super smart and stealthy, and she brings pep and loyalty to her team, so it's always fun. We have Daisuke, who's bringing up the balance. We have Noah, who has the high investigation. We have Evelyn, who has really good combat and stealth, disguised and marksman. We have Olivia, who has high investigation. Kai, who has a high combat stat. Hajime, who's he's like the leader currently of the Yakuza, so he has a high combat stat. He's a risk taker. He's kind of a mixture of Mello and like Eren Yeager. And then we have Yuma, who was kind of inspired by Overhaul. He has dirty money and death symphony. Yuma is very balanced with his stats. He also likes playing piano, as a fun fact. We have Imako, who's a little girl who is their little sister. And everything with her might not be quite as it seems. And then we have Katsuki as well. And to mix things up, they don't only get their 2 skills you read on their card, they get an additional 3rd skill at random. So the game always changes. They're always going to come off a bit different anytime you play it, based off of who plays who and stuff like that. So we have that with the location cards, because this will be a physical game as well as a PDF, so you can get it either way. And then we go into their backstories here, so you can actually read about the characters if you want to do that. And then I put some difficulties here in case you want like a new player. You can give them someone like Ichika as a starter character, Evelyn, Imiko, Katsuki, something like that, because they're more straightforward with playing. Like their abilities are very straightforward. And of course in our credits we thank all of our patrons. So if you're interested in helping us out and develop this game and more games, other anime-inspired games, then becoming a patron is the #1 way you can do that. Real quick though, before I go, figure I'd show you that we have, this is our first art piece that we have. We're going to go with this black and white style, and we're working with a newer artist. His name's Dominix, that's his username. He's actually someone I worked with personally, and someone I know personally who's local to me. He's a very, very nice guy. He's very cool, and he's a talented artist. And I reached out to him about this, and he seemed very much on board. And so I was like, okay, cool. You like anime, you have that cool art style. So I felt like this would be a good time to really showcase his artwork. And so I'm very happy to bring him on board. He did some of the background art in Black Paper Moon, but this will definitely showcase a lot more of his art and his style. So I'm very happy about that. And hopefully you're interested in Deathsend. If you are, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, jump into our Discord, hang out, let's game, have a good time, and as always, stay awesome. Hey, what is up? If you are a fan of anime and tabletop games, then be sure to check out our card games, tabletop role-playing games, and even our manga. We have a lot of fun stuff over there for you to check out on our website, VindicateEntertainment.com. We even have a brand new tabletop role-playing game, Black Paper Moon. Check it out, and we'll see you there.